Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman as we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. And today we are back. We are back reporting on the shenanigans of the next chief orangutan, who I believe is trying to take the place of Jasmine Crockett. And if she's not careful, she's going to end up just like Jasmine Crockett, and that's unemployed. Who are we talking about today? We're talking about House Rep down in Florida, Angie Nixon, who I've done a show on her orangutan shenanigans already, where she showed her whole entire tail with the cute pantsuit and the pink bullhorn. Yeah, well, that action has caused her to be reprimanded by the legislators down in Florida. And today we need to talk about not just her response, but what has happened as a result, because she pulled another stunt. But before we do that, I am going to show you the clips. What I'd like to do is highlight how all of these antics, these agitative, behavioral outbursts that these Black melanated Marxists are doing is a very desperate attempt, but it is very intentional. And I'd like to highlight how people have grown so weary and so tired. Like, the Black fatigue is at an all-time high. Now, one thing if you have aspirations, like political aspirations, at this point, the bar has been set so low because of the outrage and the behavior of these individuals who they really just don't know how to act. They will show their whole entire tail. So what that means is that now that a lot of these districts are being redrawn, and many of these individuals will be voted out of office, that means there is an open playing field for regular normies, like people like you and I, who know how to conduct themselves in public spaces. It doesn't really probably take much for us to get elected now. All we got to do is just know, I don't know, basic social standards, like you don't come to the state house to fight. You don't come to grandstand. The place where these legislators meet is where you go to govern. But somehow, some way, these individuals have adopted the mindset that the state house and the Capitol is where you go to protest instead of govern. This is why nothing ever gets done. They don't know the art of persuasion. They've never read How to Win Friends and Influence People, realizing that, yes, I'm partisan, I'm a Democrat, and they're a Republican. However, we've got to learn how to work together so that I can get what I need for my people and you can get what you need for your people. No, they don't do that, because they are there to serve themselves, and the power that they want to obtain is not to empower Black people, but it is to empower the Black political class. This is why nothing ever gets done. So the first thing I wanted to do was highlight the fact that the state house is where you go to govern and not protest. You cannot bring that foolishness into the state house, and you darn sure do not show up to the governor's office refusing to leave until you were heard. You can act like a petulant child all you want to, but what's going to happen to you is what Governor Desantis says is F around and find out. So the first thing I want to do is let's take a look at, let's do a flashback of what happened.
Jacksonville Democratic State Representative Angie Nixon got a formal reprimand from her colleagues this afternoon. I'm Jake Stofan.
I'm Tanika Hughes. It's for her protest on the House floor during last month's vote to pass new congressional maps.
Now, I spoke with Representative Nixon before the hearing today, and she says she has no regrets.
I believe a reprimand is both appropriate and necessary. No one should take pleasure in reprimanding a fellow member.
Those were the words of Fleming Island State Representative Sam Garrison before the House Committee on Rules and Ethics issued a formal reprimand against Jacksonville State Representative Angie Nixon. Garrison chairs that committee. The punishment resulted from Nixon's protest on the House floor.
Listen, all I have to do, look, I know this may be how you act in the hood. You know, when your baby daddy doesn't do what you want him to do, and you show up to him and his new wife's home and you just stand out front with the bullhorn demanding to see him, like Byron, like you do stuff like that. But this is different. These are the people that the constituents have elected to represent them. And now that they've become a complete clown show and an embarrassment to the culture, I am hoping that this was enough for you to realize that we can't be sending these brain dead morons and these ghetto hood rat, orangutan, matriarchal miscreants. We can't send these people to Congress. This woman doesn't represent me at all. I would never vote for someone like this. One, people like this refuse to accept accountability, and they're the eternal victim. And what have I been teaching y'all? The chronic victim can never be trusted. Before I let this finish playing, notice how she says she has no regrets. That is one of the key traits of the imbecilic female, how they have no regrets for anything they've done because they don't have the ability to self-examine and to say, is what I'm doing effective? Is what I'm doing wise? Is what I'm doing in the best interest for the people that I serve? She can't ask herself those questions because the premise and the foundation of what she's doing is built on a lie. Notice how she's yelling through the state house on the House floor that this is against the Constitution. In fact, what she's been advocating for is against against the Constitution. These melanated Marxists are actually advocating for Jim Crow, a form of Jim Crow that I call Jerome Crow. They want to segregate Black people into these congressional districts because those Black people concentrated into those districts means more power for them. Whereas the Supreme Court is saying, no, it is wrong to draw these district lines on the basis of ethnicity. You claim your people fought and bled and got their brains beat up on that Edmund Pettus Bridge for equality. Well, now it's equality. But these people don't want equality. They want Democrat power. They're just hiding behind the guise of equality. They're cloaking it, they're wrapping it in blackface, but it's really Democrats. It's Democrat power that they want. It has nothing to do with being Black. It is, they are Black, yes, but they are Marxist, right? So they want to maintain Black Marxist Democrat power. And because that is unconstitutional, what they're doing is gaslighting the American people to make you think that what the Republicans who are spearheading and the conservative Supreme Court who is saying we can no longer allow this, it's unconstitutional to begin with, this is why they're mad. So what they're doing is they're gaslighting and trying to make you think that what Governor Ron DeSantis is doing by calling the special session to redraw the maps, they want you to believe that it's unconstitutional, but it's not. So her entire protest is built on a lie, on top of the fact it's poor taste. She's breaking decorum. There are ethics rules. But you got to understand, the female imbecile who can't manage her misery, the orangutan, they don't comply to the rules because everything that they do is rooted in rebellion, ratchetness, rebellion at that. And so when she says that she has no regrets, you have to believe her. She doesn't see anything wrong with this because this woman has political aspirations to run for Senate. Now, she's never going to win a statewide race because, listen, if Jasmine Crockett couldn't win a Democrat primary, there's no way Angie Nixon is going to win and go toe-to-toe with a Republican candidate in Florida for Senate. But she has to participate in these kinds of antics in order to get the social media attention to drum up support and to raise money off of it. But she knows she doesn't have a chance in hell in winning. But let's finish this clip, and then I'm going to show you her response and what ends up happening next.
Last month, ahead of a vote on new congressional maps, we spoke with Nixon ahead of the hearing.
Do you have any regrets about the way that you went about the protest on the floor?
Jake, I don't have any regrets about what I did.
Nixon says she was blindsided by the punishment, saying she was never informed ahead of the hearing and was not offered a chance to speak during it.
See, you said all that you had to say. Notice how now the chronic victim, I was blindsided. I wasn't allowed to respond. I didn't see this coming. These people move to the beat of their own drum, and they are incapable of getting along with the rest of us, you guys. What have I been saying in my last couple of videos? The idea of America built on free markets, personal agency, capitalism is incompatible with Marxism. Cultural Marxism, political Marxism, it's incompatible. It is an anti-God, anti-Christian worldview that doesn't believe in personal agency. It only sees the world in categories of oppressor versus oppressed. And so it's this constant struggle in this constant power dynamic. And I'm going to prove to you what I mean. She's going to prove to you what I mean. But I just wanted to highlight how she's sitting in her car saying that I have no regrets because in her mind, she's trying to make the people think that she's fighting for democracy. But if she was really fighting for democracy, then she would say, mind you, we have a constitutional republic, but if she was fighting for democracy, she'd be like, then this has nothing to do with ethnicity. Then we should not be drawing these lines based on ethnicity. And that if these Black politicians really believe that they can compete on the basis of their ideas and their leadership, then they should put their hat in the ring and run and may the best man win. But they can't. They know that they have to keep Black people asleep and on this political psyop and always talking about the orange man bad and the white man this and the Republican Party that, when there are no Republicans in charge in their districts. They're the ones in charge of their districts, and they're the ones driving their districts into the ground, keeping them government dependent. She's going to argue and say what this fight is really about, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know. Just give her a minute.
They don't want us to have a say. They don't want us to use our voice. And it's just a slap in the face. And they go,
No. See, the collective, it's not a slap in the face. And it's not that they don't want us to have a voice. Every individual American citizen has a voice, and it's your one vote is your voice. What we're fighting against is the assumption that all Black people stuffed into one district represents a voice. That's not how it works. You don't speak for me and I don't speak for you, but I cast my vote based on what I want, what's best for myself. Nobody is taking that away. What she's really saying is they're trying to take away the melanated Marxist voices, and that is true. We have grown weary and tired of people electing women like her, these loud, overbearing, unruly, and rebellious matriarchal miscreants who only understand agitation and protest. They don't know how to negotiate and win arguments on the basis of ideas. All they know is accusation and protest and agitation. And so when she says that they're trying to take our voice, yes, we are absolutely trying to silence the voice of the anti-American agenda that has risen up and cloaked itself in Jerome Crow politics. We are absolutely trying to get rid of that because it has no place in the American political system. Our Constitution was designed for a moral and a religious people. These people are neither. It is wholly inadequate for any other. So when I say that we're trying to dismantle the Congressional Black Caucus, not because they're Black, but because the ideology that undergirds their cultural Blackness, yes, I would agree. We are trying to silence your voice. I'm glad you figured it out, but it's not on the basis that you think it is. It's not because you're Black. It's not. It's because your ideas are trash and they are harmful to America. It's incompatible with the American way.
are not punished. But in this case, where the disruption caused 2 members to vote incorrectly and another to seek medical attention for hearing damage, he felt it was necessary.
I don't think members like to do this because at the end of the day, they have to operate in the same chamber as with their colleagues. So it is fairly rare.
JU political science professor Dr. Matthew Corrigan says the punishment might actually work to Nixon's advantage as she's leaving the House later this year to run for U.S. Senate.
Sir, you're delusional. If you think this stunt is going to work to her advantage and propel her and help her in the Senate race, you are delusional. Now, I'll tell you this. White folks got way more patience than I do. Because if I were there, I would have personally snatched her up and ejected her out of the chamber. I'd be like, either you were raised wrong or you've completely lost your mind. What are you doing? Is this how you think you're going to get results? Where has this ever worked? It's one thing to protest on the steps of the Capitol and out in the street. But when you come into that chamber, you come in poised with your head down and ready to work. You govern here. This is not the time to protest. We don't have time for these petulant games that you're playing. And I don't know if you've been reading Rules for Radicals or what, but we're shutting this mess down. I'm going to let this finish playing. Then I've got one more clip. Then we're going to get on out of here.
Because Democrats want to fight right now. They want to take on Republicans.
Well, they will lose.
Nixon violates House rules again. Prior to her exit from the legislature, she was warned she could face more severe consequences, ranging from a formal censure to removal from office.
Yeah, I'm pushing for the removal from office. But let me show you the other clip.
I am here today because I wanted to be the voice of everyday hardworking Floridians in our state who are basically being deprived of a functional government.
No. Lies. Let me tell you something. Florida has one of the best functional, well-run governments in these United States. Governor Ron Desantis is not perfect, but that man runs a well-oiled machine. Florida, flaws and all with the insurance issues they are having there, I get it. No one can touch his leadership style, and people are not scratching through the fence to move to Florida because the state is trash. That is not it. They are moving to Florida because they understand freedom, independence, law and order, a balanced budget, school choice, lower crime. There's a reason why people are leaving and fleeing New York and California and moving to Florida. Friendly to businesses. So when she says that she speaks for people, no. One, she's absolutely speaking for herself. When she says a functional government, she means a government that won't allow me, a black Marxist, to amass as much power so I can rob the people blind by getting money from my district and then putting it into the coffers of me and all of my political cronies. That's what she's really saying. But nobody's voice is being silenced. My voice is not being silenced. I got plenty of friends that live in Florida whose voices are not being silenced. It is the black Marxist voice that is being silenced because their reign of terror is over. Listen to what else she's going to say.
Of a government that's actually trying to strip them of their voices by rigging and drawing gerrymandered unconstitutional and illegal maps.
Lies. The maps, the way they are drawn now, with all these funky little shapes to make sure all the black people are together, is literally Jerome Crow. It's Jim Crow in blackface. The only way people like her can win is if the maps are drawn the way they are on the basis of ethnicity, which means she's advocating for segregation, which is the very thing that the Jim Crow system was doing. But this is why I call it Jerome Crow, because they use black faces to push the agenda. So she keeps saying it's unconstitutional. No, what she wants and the way it is been is unconstitutional. The conservative Supreme Court is fixing it so that it's not on the basis of race. No, the voices that are being silenced are the Marxist agitator voices. She's right. But my voice is just fine. I don't feel like it's being suppressed. I go in that voting booth and I pull the lever for who I want. The problem is the representation that figuratively has had their knee on our necks. We can prove it by looking at our outcomes. Look at all of the districts where these melanated Marxists are in charge, and you show me progress. Show me prosperity. Show me a good business climate. Show me phenomenal educational outcomes. Show me low crime statistics, tree-lined streets with a bunch of two-parent households. Show me that. And then I'll believe that your voice is being silenced. No, the voice that is being silenced, we try to silence your voice because you've had too much of a voice. And it has overwhelmingly caused us more harm than good.
This is not right. I am tired of it. People, the Floridians are tired of the petty games and the infighting. They really just want lawmakers to come up here in Tallahassee and do their jobs.
And that's the thing. You're right. We want you to go to Tallahassee to do your job. And your job is not to be a professional protester and an agitator. You go in that state house to legislate and govern. You cannot govern with this kind of chaos on the floor. People standing up on furniture, bringing bullhorns into the chamber, screaming and yelling, rolling around on the floor, barricading themselves in, acting a whole fool. I'm telling you, white folks got way more patience than me. I would have snatched her up so fast and said, listen, save this foolishness for your baby daddy's house. Don't come in here with this mess. We don't do that here. Show some respect. Learn how to act. Must you embarrass me on every possible occasion? That's what I would have said to her. I'm like, you are such a poor excuse for a black woman. This is why nobody trusts us. This is why we got a reputation of being just loud and obnoxious and unruly and chaotic. You are the poster child for everything that we're trying to avoid.
We're tired, man. Like, I'm tired of having to raise my voice all the time. I shouldn't have had to get a pink megaphone because these lawmakers aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
No, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They just won't let you do what you want to do. And y'all, I'm very passionate about this. But when I say I don't like women like this, you have no idea the level of frustration that wells up in me, that this is the face of the Democrat Party, and this is who America at large believes that we should be. That every black woman everywhere, as soon as she enters the room, here comes the chaos. They like to fight. They can't engage in any sort of meaningful dialogue to come to a resolution. They got that incessant need to be right. They just gonna be strong and wrong, loud and proud. They will never concede an argument because you can't tell them nothing because they're ratchetangs. Female imbeciles who can't manage their misery, and so they show out. And this type, if you don't, the only language they understand, you got to restrain them. I mean, I was going to say something. Look, we just got to vote them out. I'll say that. I'll be nice. You have to vote them out. These are your Fonnie Willises. These are your Jasmine Crockett's, your Cori Bush, Ayanna Presley. We're trying to get rid of all of these women, all of them. Your Letitia Jameses, whether it's an AG or a House rep or a Congresswoman. Every single y'all have tolerated these Jezebels too long, and their time is up. That's why they're mad and they're angry and they're rebelling. We're almost done.
I don't care about arrest. I care about the people. I'm worried about people who don't have food to put on their table. I'm worried about the veterans that are living under bridges right now. That's what I'm worried about.
She ain't worried about none of those people. You know why? Because all those people are in her district. They've been hungry. The veterans are still not getting their care. Why? Because when they go to the house to vote and to get things, they want to create more dependence. They want to create more dependence. So they're not trying to empower you to figure out how can we get you off of this food assistance so that you're gainfully employed and then you can earn a living for yourself. No, they want you dependent on them. That's why she's like, I'm worried about, the people without the food and, the veterans under the bridge. No, you ain't. No, you're not. Because if you were worried about that, you'd shut your mouth and you'd figure out how to get the resources to the people that matter so that eventually you are obsolete. But as long as they can keep you dependent, then the system is working as designed, isn't it?
I'm not worried about getting arrested.
We know.
All right, I want to get to where everyone can hear me. Building is closed as of now. If you are not a state employee, you must exit the building at this time. This area is also closed to state employees unless you are in the governor's office themselves. So this is your one warning you will get right now. You will be trespassed and arrested after trespass. Do we understand?
No, so you said...
See how she said, the lack of comprehension? He was calm. He wasn't loud. He wasn't yelling. He was focused in what he said and said, listen, this area is closed. Unless you are a state employee, you cannot be here. And then there are going to be consequences for those, including press, if you remain after the words that are coming out of my mouth. First thing she said, no, I don't understand. Oh, so now you black and slow. Now we knew that, but we appreciate you admitting it on camera. Listen to what she about to say.
Includes press, because press badges do not get you into the Capitol when it's closed.
So you said, what about the governor's office? We can't.
Now this heifer know darn well she ain't got no business being in the governor's office, but she gonna play dumb. So now I don't understand. So like you mean like the governor's office?
No, you cannot. This is all closed. The building's closed. No one's allowed in the building right now. It's a closed building.
Even if I'm a lawmaker?
You cannot be in here. You can be out there. You can't be in here.
I'll wait on the governor.
Okay. Do you hear what she said? The rebellion. The brain dead moron heard this man say you can be out there, but you can't be in here. Well, I'll just wait on the governor. Oh, okay. Let me ask you a question, Angie Nixon. Did you really think Big Ron was gonna be like, I heard Angie is down at the office waiting on me, and I got to go down there and see what she wants. So I'm gonna stop what I'm doing, go down to my office so I can talk to her. As if you want a meeting with the governor, there is a way to get a meeting with the governor. But grandstanding like this, threatening, refusing to leave like some crazy deranged baby mama stalker, this is not how you do it. But in her mind, this was going to work. This was going to get her the attention so she can get on the TikTok and go viral. Well, you famous now. You nice, famous, and arrested. I'll just wait on the governor. The lack of self-awareness is astonishing to me. I am telling you, these women are a danger to the community. Because you know why? These are the women that are teaching the ones after them to show out and act a fool. And that's how you get what you want. Be lawless, be chaotic, be disrespectful, just grandstand and be loud and proud about it. And then don't accept accountability when things don't go your way. You get arrested, now you crime victim. The chronic victim can never be trusted. How does a community thrive with women like this in leadership? How do women like this teach young girls to be respectful and to be poised and to be polite and to be ladylike? They can't. They don't even have any experience or history with being that way, so they can't teach young girls how to act. I don't want my daughters seeing, oh, mom, is this how the lawmakers ask? I'll be like, no, baby, don't watch this. See, what you're watching, that's a whole fool. This is what fools do. And when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Now, I would tell my daughter, she about to get arrested. This is a textbook case example, sweetheart, of how not to act. I'd say, baby, when I'm out, if something happens where I feel that I've been wrongly treated. Do you see mommy act like that when there's been a misunderstanding? No, I'm never seen you act. Do we not remain calm? Do we not ask questions to get clarification if there's something we don't understand? But do we show out? Do we embarrass the family? Do we not realize and understand that you don't just represent your family, but you represent the culture, whether you want to or not? You may not want to bear the brunt of that responsibility, but you do. But these women think they only care about themselves. As much as they claim to be about the culture and the community, every action that they do has nothing to do with the people. It is about them. This woman is interested in her fame, her attention, her notoriety, and her ability to raise money off of this retarded display of juvenile behavior in the governor's office. Oh, you famous, all right, but we are clowning the heck out of you because you're an embarrassment. It is shameful for you to act this way. And then you wonder why nobody wants to vote black women in office. I was watching an episode of Poppin' Politics and I saw Shelly. Shelly said something that I said, we need to run that back. She said, this is going to sound wrong, but when I see these black women on a ballot, 9 times out of 10, I'm already thinking they a criminal. They going to steal. They going to take my tax money. They going to end up arrested. Something crazy is going to happen. It is sad that that is now the reputation of the black woman that has political aspirations because of people like her. It is what it is. You don't have to say it. I'll say it for us. I know you think you're thinking it, but you're not supposed to say that. But it's true. I am more inclined not to vote for a black female because this is the kind of representation that we've been getting, on top of the fact that our outcomes are trash. So what's the point? So we have to deal with the trash outcomes of how you legislate on top of the fact that you're a whole headache. Why would I vote for that on purpose? You good? So she was arrested.
All members voted. Have all members voted? The clerk.
This is, Lord have mercy. Look, let me tell you something. At the end of the day, I make the content that I make to be purposefully inflammatory, to elevate my voice and to elevate the controversial nature of the moment we're in right now. And my goal is to confront the culture and slap you in the face with the truth. Because we're literally living, I told y'all, this is Emancipation 2.0. It is now or never. So many black people do not realize that they've been subjugated and oppressed and living in the ideological bondage of slavery for over 60 years. They don't know it. But people like me and so many other platforms, we are looping this kind of content and highlighting it on purpose because we want you to be free in Jesus. Absolutely. The gospel for me is primary because at the end of the day, you can stop voting Democrat and still die in your trespasses and sins. But my point is, I highlight stuff like this on purpose. I shame these women. I shame this behavior. And I label it because it's effective. You have to shine the light on the foolishness and counteract their propaganda lies in order for people to understand. Black people are not stupid. They can look around their surroundings in their communities and say, you know what, our outcomes are trash. And if you can show them, well, your outcomes are trash because politics is local. And if you look locally at your outcomes and the people who've been representing you locally look like you, it's not because black people don't want to see other blacks do well. It's because the black Marxists who's been in charge for the past 60 years, they don't want you to succeed and don't want you to do well because it's all about them succeeding and doing well at your expense. That's why they steal from you. That's why they make promises and then they never deliver. So at what point Do you continue to do the same thing and then expect a different result? At some point, you got to stop and pull the trigger and say enough is enough. And the sad part about it is it took a conservative Supreme Court to come in, just like Abraham Lincoln and the Union soldiers did, to have to come down and emancipate these Negroes without their participation, permission, or their knowledge. Because I can guarantee you, there was no mandate from blacks in these minority black districts saying, please give us free. Somebody come and free us from this melanated Marxist colored communism. We don't want this no more. That's not what happened. But it was unconstitutional to keep drawing these maps on the basis of ethnicity. The Supreme Court stepped in and said, hold my beer, I got you. I'm coming to free you. And just like some slaves down in the South was like, well, what we gonna do now? Well, we can't be with master no more. No. Go out there as an individual, cast your vote, and function in your freedom. Stop relying on these leaders and these House representatives and these congressmen to do the heavy lifting and the thinking for you. You think for yourself and you vote your values, and stop voting these policies that are going to just make you more government dependent. Vote for the policies that are going to say, it's time to take the crutches off and it's time for you to walk on your own, because you're a big boy now and you're a big girl now. You don't need this walker no more. You can walk on your own 2 feet. That's what the Supreme Court did with this ruling. And it's causing people like Angie Nixon to crash out. This is just utterly embarrassing. And I would love to say that she should feel embarrassed, but she doesn't. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you believe that she should have been arrested for refusing to leave the governor's office? Like, did she really think that Ron DeSantis was like, all right, Angie, what you want? What's popping? Like, what do you want to talk about? Oh, you know what? You right. I'm going to call a special session and not redo these maps because you said so. Like, did she really think that that's how it was going to go? Or do you believe, I think they really went overboard with arresting her because she was just trying to assert, her First Amendment rights. And, she was just peacefully protesting and they didn't have to arrest her. Well, you don't come into the state house to protest. You do that out in the street. But when you come in here, you act civilized and you come in here to get some legislative work done. So curious to know, what do you think? Whatever it is that you guys think, leave me your comments down in the box below. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.